Well, I think that's going to roll nicely into this next conversation we're about to have. Let's have some dialogue about this Donald Trump pick who says, I do have a Nazi streak in me. All right, this from the BIN. Paul Ingracia, President Donald Trump's nominee to lead the Office of Special Counsel, is under fire after leaked text messages revealed he made racist and anti-Semitic remarks. Politico republished the text messages just days before Ingracia's scheduled confirmation hearing on Thursday, October 23rd, which is now in jeopardy as several Republican leaders condemn his racist remarks. In January 2024, Ingracia wrote in a Republican group chat that the holiday for Martin Luther King Jr. belongs in hell. Quote, MLK Jr. was the 1960s George Floyd, and his holiday, that's in quotes, should be ended and tossed into the seventh circle of hell where it belongs, unquote, Ingracia reportedly said. In another message, the Trump nominee used a racial slur. I'm not going to say this word, so no, I'm not going to say that word, holidays, from Kwanzaa to MLK Jr. Day to Black History Month to Juneteenth. Every single one needs to be eviscerated, unquote, he wrote. In December 2023, Ingracia reportedly said, quote, never trust I'm not going to say that word either, or Indian, never, unquote, while referencing then presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, who was also a Republican, right? Tokens get spent, fam. All right, let's go on. He also joked about being on a Nazi talk show confessing, quote, I do have a Nazi streak in me from time to time. I will admit it, unquote. Despite his lawyers claiming that the remarks were, quote, satirical, unquote, or taken out of context, bipartisan condemnation of Ingracia, Senate Majority Whip John Thune publicly called on the White House to withdraw the nomination, telling reporters, quote, he's not going to pass, unquote. Other Republican senators who have publicly opposed Ingracia's nomination include Senator Rick Scott, the Republican from Florida, Senator Ron Johnson, the Republican from Wisconsin, and Senator James Lankford, the Republican from Oklahoma. The backlash puts Ingracia's confirmation in jeopardy, as he can only afford to lose 3 Republican votes, assuming Democrats vote unanimously against him. The White House hasn't publicly commented on the leaked messages. Ingracia has already faced scrutiny over a previously reported sexual harassment complaint at the Department of Homeland Security, where he serves as a White House liaison. Okay, so we have a problem with Republicans. We have a problem with Republican voters saying that we have a victim complex and we're imagining things. We have a problem with that. Okay, we just had a conversation about all these leaked text messages from the young Republican leadership group chat. That is indeed the future of the Republican Party. This person that Trump nominated has said himself, this is racism. I just read it to you. He's saying that, I don't even want to reread this stuff, but enough. He said, I do have a Nazi streak in me from time to time. Okay, so there's that. Pete Hegseth, we talked about this guy with his like white supremacist tattoos, for folks that don't know, you can check that out. You know what I mean? And there are people say, oh, that's not white supremacy. Well, it's more closely associated with white supremacy than anything else. And if you listen to the way that guy talks, listen, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's a duck, fam. You know what I mean? And when you talk about Stephen Miller, we talked about him earlier, the way that man talks, this is our country and this is our heritage. And this, who is he talking to? Because what you're talking about doesn't reflect the reality of all of us. It reflects the reality of a narrow segment of the population, which is white men. Okay, and we know that. Okay, Elon Musk with the Nazi salute, all this, we're not imagining this stuff. And it's reflected in the policies. It changes our material reality. Donald Trump went on that stage and was like, they're taking black jobs and no, you took the black jobs. Black unemployment is the lowest it's been since the pandemic when nobody was working. You did that. And all of you Republican voters that say to us that we're imagining it, that we have a victim complex, shame on you. And don't ever profess to be a Christian in my face, because I literally grew up in the church. The physical building, I never left it. My father was the minister there. You can't have a conversation with me about morality because your moral compass is devoid of a North Star. The Jesus that you espouse is Donald Trump, not the Jesus in the Bible. I don't care what you say to me. That's all I got to say, Q. Go ahead.
I appreciate your tone. Those words you refused to say you should have, because people need to hear how disgusting they were. Uh, being gaslit during this entire experience, from his first term all the way through today, is the thing that causes me the most mental and emotional grief. Because in a lot of cases, it's from people that I know. Of course, the Republicans are going to pretend like they don't know what we're talking about. Of course, the actual white supremacists who, while practicing racist white supremacist strategy and rhetoric, do not like being labeled as such. It's a very strange thing. Of course, they're going to deny it and pretend to not know what we're talking about, because in some circles, they still want to pretend to be decent. Now, not all of them. Some of them are just outwardly disgusting, like this young man saying he has a Nazi streak, something that once upon a time would have disqualified you from consideration for anything in this country. Apparently, that time came and went in the last 8 months. Now, we Nazi salute at our inaugurations on stage with the backing and support of the President of the United States, and no one bats an eye. Now we seek hail at graduations and rallies, children doing it at high schools. Something that once upon a time would have been viewed as disgusting, even by the GOP, has now become a rallying cry. We have to sit and watch the ancestors, the Constitution, our rights, our dignity, our self-respect be stomped on. And then be told, as you said, that it's our imagination, that we're race baiting, that we're playing the victim, as if we're going out to seek these things out from those who offend us and disrespect us and play in our faces. So you wonder, which part is the reality? You know, when I had that discussion with that young lady that we've talked about before, where I was told that it's no longer about facts and data, it's about rhetoric and narrative. She was unintentionally right. For their algorithm, for their side of the aisle, for their reality, it is no longer about facts and data. They've decided how they feel. So now, whatever they need to do to support how they feel and to justify how they feel, they will. The vice president said it plainly: I will lie blatantly and flat out if I need to. Admitted to that. That man is still in the White House. I will grab a woman by the... That man is still in the White House. Incited an insurrection against this country, and they made him the victim. He's somehow the one who's always being wronged, while all he does is take from everyone. Once upon a time, politicians, no matter what side of the aisle, disguised the grift. Some part of the policy helped someone, even if it helped them more. Not today. The entire point is to harm as many as possible while making themselves more wealthy than an entire city would ever have to be. These individual people have more money than the rest of the world, more resources, more of everything, while ensuring that you have nothing. And we will keep having this conversation because they keep taking from you, and you keep voting for them. You keep wearing their paraphernalia. You keep celebrating them, and they keep stomping on you. I just pray one day that y'all wake up.